Hello, welcome everyone. This is Melissa Fricky with Calix. I just want to give everyone another minute and we'll get started. Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today for our webinar, How Will You Keep Your Subscribers Safe in a World of Growing Online Threats? Before I begin, I would love to share a few tips so you can get the most out of our webinar. Located at the top toolbar on the right side, you'll see your settings and control panel. Well, you'll find the question section. In the question section, indicated by the box with the question mark in the toolbar, we encourage you to submit any questions or comments you may have during the presentation by typing them here. We'll address those questions during the Q&A session at the end, and if we don't get to yours, we'll send you a written response. Finally, there'll be a live poll for you throughout the webinar, and we'd like you to thank you in advance for your participation in those. This webinar is being recorded. We will post a link in the coming days on Calix, the webinar hub, and be on the lookout for an email where you will also find the link for your convenience. Now it's time for me to turn it over to your host, Brian Taylor, Senior Solutions Marketing Manager with Smart Home, and Gabe Peterson, our Global Field Director and Global Director of Field Strategy. The mic is all yours.
Thank you, Melissa. And thank you for joining today's webinar. How will you keep your subscribers safe in a world of growing online threats? In today's webinar, you'll be hearing from Gabe Peterson, Global Director of Field Strategy at Calix, and myself, Brian Taylor, Senior Solutions Marketing Manager for Smart Home. Before we get started, let's take a quick poll to understand how your concerns with cybersecurity is the first question. So how concerned are you about cybersecurity and the ongoing digital threats your subscribers face? A, very concerned. B, concerned. C, somewhat concerned. Or D, not concerned. Thank you for completing that poll. And before we get started, there's one more poll question we would like to ask is, how concerned are your subscribers with cybersecurity? A, very concerned. B, concerned. C, somewhat concerned. Or D, not concerned. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. So let's go ahead and dive in. So cybersecurity threats over the years, especially post-COVID, has continued to rise. And with more sophisticated tools, these criminals are a threat to the United States, but also a threat to your subscribers. In the 2024 report of cybersecurity posture of the United States, that has come directly from the White House. A quote from Harry Coker Jr., our National Cyber Director, says, simply put, we are in the midst of a fundamental transformation in our nation's cybersecurity. It is now clear that a reactive posture cannot keep pace with fast evolving cyber threats and a dynamic technology landscape, and that aspiring just to manage the worst effects of cyber incidents is no longer sufficient to ensure our national security, economic prosperity, and democratic values. As you can see, we are at a crossroads where we're not looking at cyber threats as reactionary, and we need to be able to be proactive in dealing with these cyber threats and cyber criminals. The days where these cyber criminals or hackers are going after big Fortune 500 companies to drain them of millions of dollars is in the past. These cyber criminals are now focused on day-to-day Americans or your subscribers across the world, as well as small business owners, and especially those that are most vulnerable, our seniors. Based on this report, the United States have acted to be more proactive in handling cyber incidents than being reactionary in the approach to mitigate these cyber threats. The United States government has implemented 12 action items to help move the needle in protecting American citizens, but also our infrastructure to ensure that these global cyber criminals are not winning this ongoing war on the United States and your subscribers. Some of these action steps are actions that you can take as a service provider to help ensure the safety of your subscribers while they browse the internet. And we will talk about these actions today, such as investing in next generation technologies to offer safer products and services, having a plan to manage risk data security and privacy, and improving incident preparedness and responses are all steps that you can do at the local level as a broadband service provider. When you think about your subscribers, the most vulnerable of these subscribers, which you have provided feedback to us, is our seniors. Cyber criminals like to prey on those that are most vulnerable and trusting. They may not have, these subscribers, these seniors may not have the technical acumen to identify a threat or scan. Many of these seniors have a lot to lose. They have been building on their retirements, their 401ks, their nest egg over the course of their careers and lives. These subscribers are also thought of as not being tech savvy, so they're easy victims. It is reported by the FTC that 39% of all fraud complaints impacted seniors 60+ years of age. Seniors also exponentially lose more by fraud than any other age group. What's even more shocking is about 90% of those that are abused by family members and caretakers that take advantage of information and data that they gather from our seniors to gain access to their most valuable data and assets. So with that being said, kind of getting the idea of the industry and where we're at as a whole in terms of, you know, these cyber criminals and how it's important to help protect them, let's take another poll. So, are you interested in learning more about how you can protect your subscribers from cyber criminals? A, yes, I want to protect my subscribers. B, undecided, I don't know where to start. C, no, my customers don't have anything to worry about.
And here are your results, Brian.
Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Gabe.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. So we'll give this slide just a chance to populate here. But as Brian and I were preparing for this webinar and putting some of this together, we started thinking about all of the confusing terms and all of the different words that get used to describe cybersecurity. And as you can see on the screen, these are oftentimes very confusing. They don't necessarily mean a lot to an average consumer. And unfortunately, they're difficult for a CSR or a technical support person to often explain it to folks as well, which is one of the, I think, the big challenges with explaining a cybersecurity service or some sort of service that is protecting your customers, potentially even from themselves, clicking on things that are dangerous and whatnot. So we wanted to kind of start here as a way to help you understand that, again, these terms, all of us working in this industry, we're generally technical people. We have a much better understanding versus the average consumer. But even some of these terms were new for me and frankly confusing for me as well as I started looking through them. And Brian, if you could jump to the next slide, please. So to that end, when we talk about the senior audience that Brian was going through earlier, that's a group that really gets confused by those terms, and why it's so important for us to approach them with not just sensitivity to the fact that they may be confused, but they also don't want to feel taken advantage of. As you can see on the right-hand side, we have some kind of words and terms that we hear a lot as we're talking to our customers about the challenges that their seniors are facing. They're not a tech expert. The jargon confuses them. They want simplicity. They want reliability of an internet solution that they can trust. That's such an important word. Not only trust that their broadband service provider is delivering them all of the services that they need, but also trust that they're not getting taken advantage of, that they're getting, I don't want to get ripped off, right? I don't want to feel like I'm buying a bunch of services that I don't need. And again, this target audience, at least in the US, it's a huge percentage of the folks that you're selling your services to, 30% of the US overall. And one of the things that we very commonly hear as we're talking to broadband services are, quote unquote, our subscriber base is elderly, or our subscriber base is old. And there's a great opportunity for you all serving your local communities to make sure that you're wrapping services around how your consumers and your subscribers really need to approach using the internet. So to that end, Brian, if you could jump to the next slide, one of the ways that we're starting to think about, how can our customers have offers in place that really meet the need of these subscribers? Again, trust, transparency, not leaning into technical jargon, really trying to help them understand what are the benefits that they're going to get out of the solution. And you can see on the left-hand side of the screen here, kind of a mocked up website around a very simple plan, the Clear Connect plan, an online experience that gets it. It's simple, it's affordable, and it's designed around you. And then on the right-hand side, really leaning into the benefits that those customers are going to get. They're going to get elite support with somebody that's local and dedicated to help them. They're going to get personalization around the experience when you send a technician into their home. And the nice part about those two benefits is, in most cases, you're probably doing those things already, and it's just helping articulate those in a way that's going to help that senior demographic especially understand what's going to be beneficial for them. And then built-in cybersecurity included, leaning into the fact that you're providing a secure solution for them without getting very deep into technical jargon and language, like we saw a couple of slides back. And really, again, just leaning into those benefits that in this case, the senior demographic would be getting out of this particular solution. So we think it's really important to understand what those specific challenges are, and then what specific offer you could put in place that would help them. We also wanted to just spend a moment talking about kind of the broader industry. So what we've done here is we've actually looked at the 4 largest broadband service providers, or ISPs, in the US. And if you look at those 4 large providers, I'm not going to call them out by name, but you can probably guess who they are. They represent about 60% of overall US households. So again, if you look at those top 4, they're covering about 60% of the US market. And we've grabbed some screenshots around how they are explaining security to their potential customers and existing customers on their websites. And there's a lot of technical jargon and language in there. And what we also wanted to point out is that all 4 of these large broadband service providers are providing some sort of network protection, cybersecurity service as part of their overall managed Wi-Fi platform or managed Wi-Fi service. So, even if you're not necessarily directly competing with these large providers in the markets that you serve, unfortunately, because their marketing budgets are massive, they are spending huge amounts of money, sometimes billions of dollars a year, marketing these types of solutions to subscribers. And if you're a broadband service provider who isn't offering this type of service, unfortunately, it could be seen that you're a bit behind these large providers. But again, with the technical language that they're using in many cases to explain these services, I think there's an awesome opportunity for local broadband service providers to lean into the simplicity of what it is that you would be offering to your customers and really lean into the benefits that they would be getting out of it versus how many of these services are described. So while there is a challenge here with the amount of money that's being spent on marketing these solutions, I also think there's a great opportunity to start to talk about these things differently, like we looked at on the last couple of slides. And then lastly, we wanted to just share why this is so important for broadband service providers and why we believe adding these types of value-added services can be significantly impactful from a financial perspective. So this is based on a case study that we did with one of our larger customers, where we looked at customers who had a GigaSpire by themselves, customer who had a GigaSpire plus the app, and customers who had GigaSpire plus app plus suites, in this case, our Protect IQ solution, which Brian's going to talk about a little bit more in just a moment. And what we saw is that there's a direct correlation between how many services somebody is buying from the BSP and what their churn rates are. And conversely, what their tenure looks like when they've started to reduce churn. So you can see here that churn steadily decreases as you start to add on services, and correspondingly average tenure increases significantly as you start to add on services. In this particular example, this broadband service provider added over 3 years of tenure for those customers who are using or who had Protect IQ, had a GigaSpire, and also had the app, the personalized version of the app. So that's a significant amount more revenue that those customers are delivering over that time frame. The other thing to point out here is around net promoter scores and what we see generally for customers who are rolling out these types of solutions. So net promoter score basically measures how likely somebody is to recommend your service to a friend or family member. And what we see very consistently, unfortunately, is that as tenure increases, NPS decreases, which sounds a little counterintuitive. You'd think that if people were sticking around for longer, they would be happier, but actually the opposite is true. But what we've also found is that when you deliver new services to customers, and when you're reminding them of all of the value that you're delivering for them through those services, like with a network protection service, reminding them how many threats you're blocking every month, things like that. But again, as you're stacking on those new services, it's almost like starting that relationship over again, and the NPS tends to increase pretty dramatically as well. So there's a great benefit, not only from a financial perspective in getting customers to stick around longer, but also from a customer satisfaction perspective with the NPS scores that we've measured. All right, Brian, I will turn it back over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Gabe, for sharing that wonderful information with us. So your subscribers need protection, and you can protect your subscribers and provide them safe and secure Wi-Fi connectivity. Your subscribers want to have the access to the internet and have limited worry about cyber criminals gaining access to their data. You can offer identity monitoring, which is proactive dark web monitoring that includes identity theft resolution. Is it cybersecurity protection from malware and viruses? Shielding subscribers with a wide range of entire home content controls, protecting family members and friends from harmful content, websites. Manage Wi-Fi controls, ensuring that devices don't connect to your network that you don't want there, to then begin seizing information from devices within your network? Or will it be home security self-monitoring cameras? And for those that have children, teens and tweens, proactive anti-cyberbullying app alerts you when there is content of concerns for these teens and tweens. So with that being said, let's look at another poll question just to get a better understanding of what protection services you offer. So what protection services do you offer your subscribers today? You're able to select all that apply. A is device-specific antivirus software. So this is software that goes directly on your laptop or PC. Identity protection, social media monitoring, malware and intrusion prevention or detection, and or E, none of the above. Thank you for sharing with us the services that you provide. So let's talk a little bit about protecting your subscribers network. Some of you may have heard about Protect IQ. In 2024, your GigaSpire systems prevented or detected over 36 million plus intrusions. We were able to block content upwards of 24 plus million and stopped 67,000 plus viruses. I know those numbers seem extremely large and you're like, well, that's just ridiculous, right? But what I would like to say is looking at it from a subscriber standpoint, a subscriber within your area, that is on average 6 to 10 threats blocked per month for your subscribers. That is being proactive in protecting and keeping your subscribers safe. We would love for you to join that community and protecting your subscribers at the network level with Protect IQ. Also want to talk about our children. The children in your community are more connected than ever today. Not only are they connected in the home, but they're also connected outside of the home with their mobile devices and laptops, tablets, and so forth. Children have more access to data today than ever before. With Bark, we are able to proactively alert guardians and parents if their teens and tweens are being exposed to unwanted content. Also, these parents deserve to be alerted if their teen or tween is delivering inappropriate content to their peers. Some alarming things or some alarming stats within these age groups that we have here, that we're sharing here today. 67% of tweens and 76% of teens have experienced bullying of some sort. 58% of tweens and 77% of teens have engaged in content that include drugs or alcohol. 68% of tweens and 82% of teens have been exposed or experienced violence. And 58% of tweens and 75% of teens have encountered nudity. It is important for us to be able to understand what our teens and tweens are being exposed to and be able to engage proactively in those conversations with them to protect their adolescent minds, protect their adolescent minds so that they can ensure that they have a very healthy upbringing as they go through this time in their journey to becoming an adult. And you can help your subscribers by offering Bark. And as we spoke about earlier, we talked about seniors and we talked about identity services. Your subscribers want a safe and secure experience. You will have the ability with Calix Smart Home to offer identity monitoring services that scans the dark web and provides alerts when monitored data points have been found on the dark web. Interesting stats for you to know about the dark web. Data that is stolen on the dark web at times is purchased for less than $10. That data, when stolen, isn't used immediately, but it is used in the future as these cyber criminals collect key data points to build a profile before they begin their attack. This is important, to be alerted, to be proactive, that your information has been identified or on the dark web, so that you can proactively get that data removed and have resolutions. Some key stats here in terms of identity monitoring. 13 million plus people and growing have fallen to an identity breach or identity theft. On average, the financial loss is over $1,300 per event. What's even more alarming is that there is an identity victim every 2 seconds. We are excited to be able to offer Scam Watch IQ and Scam Assist that will monitor the dark web and alert you when your information or data points have been exposed on the dark web, and you can help your subscribers in the event their data has been compromised. We have one last poll question that we're going to bring up, but again, we want to make sure that you know that with Calix Smart Home, you have the ability to protect your subscribers and provide a safe and secure experience for those subscribers. It is what they deserve and expect. So let's go to the last poll question. When will you be ready to discuss offering your subscribers a safe, secure, and protected Wi-Fi experience with Calix Smart Home? A, I am ready to discuss our options to protect our subscribers. B, contact me within the next 3 months to learn more. C, I will be ready to protect my subscribers in 3 to 6 months. D, we need more time to plan. Contact us in 6 to 12 months. E, we are not ready to discuss protecting our subscribers.
And Brian, just while we're waiting for the results to come into that, I thought there was a really interesting question that came in, and I know it was answered, written out answered, but just to call it out again, the question was around, can you block specific websites or applications with some of these solutions so that folks could, I hate to use this term, but I guess kind of protect them from themselves, so to speak, is maybe the most appropriate way to say that. And the short answer to that question is yes. So Experience IQ is our product that's really focused around content controls. And that is the solution that would help you or allow you to block specific applications, specific websites, or both. You can even time-bound specific applications as well, so that they're only available for a certain portion of the day. So there's lots of different content controls that come into play with Experience IQ. Again, traditionally, that's been more of a parental control sort of quote-unquote use case, or a content control use case, but it's definitely something that can be leveraged for other use cases as well. And as I think about the benefits of how you could talk about that solution to your customers, much like we were talking about, a value-based offer for your senior folks, you could start to roll the benefits of that solution in as well, making sure your grandkids are protected when they're over, and then also, if for adults who are maybe concerned about what their adult parents are doing, maybe create some guidelines around that as well. Unfortunately, I think many of us as adults are going to have to deal with aging parents and things like that. So being able to have some guardrails around what folks are doing when you're not there would be super beneficial, not only for the grandkids, but also potentially for the grandparents as well.
And complementary to Experience IQ, when we think about BARC, those are extra additional content controls that go outside of the home. That could be on it could be on a kid's device, or it could be on a grandparent's device if you wanted it to be. But then as they're outside of the home, you can utilize those same type of standards to to ensure that they're not going to inappropriate sites and so forth. So that's complementary to Experience IQ.
Yeah, it's a great call out, Brian.
So with that, I don't know if we have time to answer a couple of questions that they were presented in the chat, but we want to be respectful of everyone's time here today. But we are at the conclusion of our webinar. We thank you for joining today. And like I said, I'm not sure, Melissa, if we're allowed to answer any additional questions that we may have in the chat.
Or you can go ahead and answer a few more questions. There is one more that says, would that apply to smartphones too when using cell versus Wi-Fi?
For Bark, yes. For those on the go controls, absolutely. Bark would be taken out of the home regardless of whether they're on Wi-Fi or not. So when you're with Bark, it's an always on activity regardless of what the connectivity is.
Okay.
Great question.
Yeah, wonderful. I think this is going to close things up. We're just slightly over. Thank you again for attending today's session. And on behalf of Calix and our presenters, thank you for joining today's webinar and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, bye.